Hey, Changemaker! Welcome to Learning for Good, the only podcast that teaches nonprofit leaders how to leverage training to drive performance, improve capacity, and fuel their mission impact. Do you ever feel like your nonprofit is growing, but your people just aren't keeping up? Or like you're fixing the same problems over and over? Do you wonder how to build confident, capable staff who know how to lead, not just execute? If we haven't met yet, I'm Heather, and I know how hard it can feel to get people to do what's expected of them. Trust me, I have 3 kids. I've tried telling people what to do and how. I've tried the traditional training approaches, and I realized that just doesn't work. And that's when I started researching what does work. Now, I help mission-driven leaders use learning to drive performance, build capacity, and make change that lasts. And I'm sharing it all on this podcast. So block your calendar, turn off your Teams or Slack chat, and let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. Happy 2026, friend. I am so glad that you are here. It's a new year and a time of new beginnings for so many. We see people reflecting on 2025 and setting new goals for 2026, and it's exciting. Everything feels fresh and new, and I'm excited you're here with me today to kick off 2026. Have you thought about what you're working toward this year? We have our nonprofit L&D Collective 2026 kickoff coming up this week, and I can't wait to hear what everyone is looking forward to for the year. If you are a nonprofit L&D pro, come join us for the kickoff. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a relaxing evening of connecting and sharing and just looking ahead for the year. Now, I don't typically set New Year's resolutions, but I do love this time of year. It's a natural reset for things that we already care about. So I often find myself reviewing my calendar to make sure my time matches my values, reflecting on what works and what didn't work last year, and making adjustments in all areas of my life. I have a whole episode on setting values-based goals from last year, so I'll drop that in the show notes. But if you're setting goals now, here are a few questions that I want you to consider. What do you value is first, and it could be anything: time, money, accomplishment, community, transparency, peace, like whatever it is that you value, start there. And then what were your biggest accomplishments in 2025? And then as you think about those accomplishments, how did it feel to accomplish those things? Who supported you or encouraged you along the way? Were your values being met? And then I want you to take those answers and think about what changes you might want to make in the new year. So you'll set goals based on that. And then write down your goals and tell someone. So if you're doing this, I hope you'll do this exercise. If you're doing it, go listen to that episode to give you some more guidance there. But it's really important to just reflect on your life and make adjustments as needed. And the new year is a great time to do that. It matters for you so that you get what you want from life and work. And it matters for your organization too. We want to reflect on 2025 throughout the organization and identify the skills that the people in our nonprofits will need in 2026 so we can make a plan to build those skills. And so that's actually what I want us to talk about today. What are the skills your nonprofit needs in 2026? It's kind of like goal setting for your organization versus for yourself. So let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. The world has experienced a lot of change in the past few years. Reggie, who was on my podcast at the end of 2025, he actually shared that the data is telling us we still haven't fully recovered from the impacts of COVID. And then 2025 brought tons of changes with policy changes and funding changes and staff layoffs and more. So it's important for us to stop and reflect on what we're bringing into 2026 and what we need to continue to improve. This is an important part of the process. And I'm going to share some general skills today that might be needed in your nonprofit this year. And then I'll share how you can determine which skills you actually need to focus on as an organization. So, first, what skills do nonprofits generally need in 2026? So, Forbes published a list of 10 skills that are critical for 2026. Those aren't nonprofit specific, but I took a look at that list and I'm going to take a few of those and we're going to talk about them today because these might end up being especially important for your nonprofit. But we're also going to talk about how do we actually customize this list or add to it, take away from it, right? So that you get the right list for your organization. Now, again, Forbes had a list of 10 different things. Many of them were AI related. And so I want to share 3 that stood out to me on this list that I think will impact nonprofits. So the first one is AI. I mean, it's hard to not put that one on the list. There's been so many changes with AI. It's rapidly improving and becoming part of our day-to-day life. And so I think with AI, in the past, right, we've seen a lot of training around how to create a good prompt and things like that. And I think that will continue. I think there are still people within our organizations who need to just know how to use generative AI as a thought partner to help them create things, to help them solve problems, find pain points, right? There's so many ways you can use generative AI. And so I think that will continue. But I think in addition to that, I think we're going to have a multi-layered approach to our AI training in order to build the right skills across the organization. And so generative AI being one of them, but also looking at AI agents and how we can use AI to improve existing workflows within our organization and for individuals within the organization. And so I think agents and workflows, that's going to be another skill set of like how to build those, how to use those to make improvements for individuals and across the organization. That's going to be a skill that we're going to need. And there's probably going to need some training on that as well. I think we'll also continue to see AI ethics as a need and AI related to that, I guess, kind of safety, risk management type stuff as well. I think there's going to be some things that continue to bubble up there. And so there will need to be some skills that are developed in order for us to use AI in a safe way, in a productive way, in a way that really stewards the data of the organization and stewards the tool that we've been given. So AI, again, I think this is going to continue to be on the list for nonprofits as well. I don't think that's for-profit specific. It's impacting nonprofits too, and that's a skill that we're going to have to continue to build for people. Now, the other 2 that I want to bring to you from that list are a little bit more soft skill, power skill related. One is learning agility. And I love that they highlighted this one actually, because change is happening so fast and people have to be able to take ownership of their own learning because of it. L&D can only do so much. And so people need to feel like they have the ability to learn. That might seem a little bit silly or maybe a little bit meta even as we think about that, but so many people approach life with a fixed mindset. And I think the more we can help people develop that growth mindset, the easier it will be for them to learn new things with or without formal training and learning programs coming out of L&D, right? And at the rate of change, at the rate that learning needs to be happening, people need to be agile enough to pick things up on their own. So learning agility, I think that's a good one. I think we need to really think about how we help people learn to learn in our organizations. The other one, emotional intelligence, was also on the list. And I think that is something that nonprofits have traditionally developed as a skill for their staff. And so much of what we do in the nonprofit sector requires empathy and self-awareness and just the ability to navigate complex and sometimes tense and unique situations. And so I think emotional intelligence has always been a skill set that nonprofits have needed. I don't think that's going away. So I kept this on my list as well. It showed up on Forbes' list, like I said, and I think it's another one that we need to continue to build those skills for our nonprofit staff and potentially provide some training for as well. So there you have it. The 3 that I think from that list are going to be most important for nonprofits: AI, learning agility, and emotional intelligence. Now, this is good information for you as you think about your nonprofit, right? But let's talk about how to customize the list for your organization. What are we going to do? I talked a little bit in the beginning about setting values-based goals, reflecting in kind of your personal life. But what does that look like for the organization? We're going to go through 3 questions that you can ask as you start to plan for your nonprofit and what skills you need to develop. Okay. So the first is, where is the organization headed in 2026? We want to review strategic goals, mission and vision, operating plans, right? Anything you have that is documented, that is a driving force in your organization. We want to look at that because that tells you where the organization is headed. We also want to look at some external drivers as well. Things like AI have a big impact on the workplace. The economy, policy changes, things like that are also important to consider. We want to make sure we know where the organization is headed. Once we have that, we can start to look at the skills. So the second question I want you to ask, what skills are your people already proficient with? So based on where you're headed, the skills that they're going to need to do those things, what do they already bring to the table? And so for this, you can take a look at job descriptions to see what's already expected of them when they're hired. You can interview people managers about their teams. You can talk to executives about what they're seeing and hearing. You just want to uncover what's going well and what pain points are holding people back. So now we know where the organization is headed, the skills that it's going to take to get there, what skills your people already have in place. The third question is, what opportunities do we have to develop our capabilities so we can better deliver on our organizational strategies? So this is the gap between the skills your people need and the skills they already have. You might find that there are things on your list that are also on the Forbes list, and that's great. You might find you need a different set of skills. Either way is okay. We just want to make sure we are strategically and proactively identifying the needs and setting goals and creating plans to close those gaps. And if this is something you need help with, we would love to work with you to help you figure this out so you have the clarity you need to kick off this year. You can complete our consulting form. I'll drop the link in the show notes so that we gather a little bit of information from you, and then we'll reach out to you with next steps. We would love to do that work with you. You can also do it on your own. So use this as a guide as you start to think about the skills your nonprofit will need in 2026. Friend, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you're going to leave not just with the 3 skills that I shared, but maybe your own list of skills specific, custom to your nonprofit. I'll see you next time on Learning for Good. Hey friend, was this episode helpful for you? Did you like what you heard? Do you want more content like this? Here are 3 things you can do. Hit subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Share this episode with a colleague. This means so much to me personally. I read every review, but it also helps me learn what content you like most so I can create more of what you want. All right, turn that Teams or Slack chat back on when you're ready, and I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.